Hello everyone. It's 1:04 p.m. in the afternoon. So they got clouds mixed with chemtrails out here today. So I earlier this morning I had a very light breakfast, and I think it was it was super early. I don't remember if it was like 5:30 or 5:45 or even 6 o'clock that I had breakfast. And so the person, I'm not gonna call out names, who donated $3 in the middle, when I was live streaming, and said, this is for something to drink. I was able to get me a small little thing of juice, and I had a cream cheese Danish, and I usually don't like bacon, but it was like a bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich for breakfast, And after breakfast, I dozed off and slept for like over an hour, probably like an hour and a half. And I'm glad nobody bothered me. But before then, it's like with me being sleep deprived, I felt like my body was being like jolted and electrocuted. And I don't even know if it was Tourette's coming on or a natural effect of the sleep deprivation or what. But the sleep deprivation makes my Tourette's worse. And I've seen it with other people that's Tourette's sufferers as well. So, but there's this huge bump right here that I cannot pop. But anyway, so I'm still sleep deprived. Well, the female bus driver that had been treating me very mean and bullying me and giving me mean looks in the morning. It was a few days ago I had the altercation with her, and well, she left me alone today, but I didn't tell her anything, But I had been trying to find ways or try to see what I could do to avoid her, or not ride the bus with her or stay awake. But like, damn, I thought it was gonna be one of the other bus drivers, but oh no, it was her. But so yeah, I think it was Memorial Day last year, 2024, that it was one of the videos, like I don't know if it was part of the gang stalking as quote unquote directed conversation, or like YouTube put one of my Tourette's videos like at the front of my profile when I clicked on it this morning. And so then there was the video about my Tourette's or whatever, and the fake Angie Peterson Ling perp made a fake new profile and fake harassing comments, and got like 10 fake thumbs up from the cult, within less than 10 minutes, probably almost immediately. But me, I have, over 5,000 subscribers, and if I posted it over an hour ago and still got not one thumbs up or not one like. I don't know, the stalkers, they're very delusional that they think they have to be right about everything. How come, I keep asking, how come it's okay for them to be negative? But when I expose what they're doing, I'm the one that's being negative and focusing on the negative. But they get praised for being evil and lying and bullying people and stalking and harassing people unprovoked for no reason at all. I can't believe even Angie's freaking obsessed. Like, if your son died, why aren't you mourning him? Why are you still making fake new profiles? Why aren't you grieving and mourning him? Why are you still making fake new profiles to stalk, harass, and bully when nobody's messing with you at all? So even fake Cindy she claimed she took time off about her aunt or whatever, I think that was that her aunt either was sick or died, or I don't remember what the situation was, but yeah. So she tried to lie and say, well, even your facial expressions look like you could tell it was fake. You don't even know what Tourette's is. I don't even think you've had experience with dealing with people who suffer Tourette's. So, but like back, especially like in years like 2006, 2007, whatever, like people will say that that with my Tourette's symptoms, that like the tics and stuff, they will say it's clear as day, Like they will say that they noticed the eye blinking or grimacing or me always like doing this with my hair or whatever, like hair twirling or something like that, But and that was a couple of examples. But excuse me. Like when the fake foster mom. All right, when my situation with the Tourette's, like I was looking at some of my records, medical records in foster care or whatever. Of course, in 2023, I was forced to have to throw away even my valuables because I couldn't take everything with me. I was, when I was forced to move out of that last apartment, I only was able to take whatever I could carry and then have to throw everything else away, even if it was valuable, and that really hurt, So they had the certain certain medical records that said I was like in kindergarten or whatever, and like they said that I was at risk for pervasive developmental disorder -NOS, but then it got ruled out. And then now everybody's asking me if I'm autistic, or well, back in 2010 they would have said I had Asperger's syndrome, or now people are saying, oh, Candy's autistic, or oh, she's on the spectrum or whatever. Well, if you feel like someone is autistic or on a spectrum, why you bully, stalk, and harass someone? Or they might say, oh, she's a little slow, she's remedial. I mean, even adults bullying like their kids And then, you know, if they bully as if they're kids, but then they tell me grow up and act my age when I get upset. You know, so, but, I forgot what symptoms they said I had of Tourette's when I was like 10 and 11 years old. But like the first day of school in 7th grade was when the eye blinking started. And then other symptoms, you know, as well. But, you know, like, if people don't understand autism, you know, they would punish what they don't understand. Or numerous times I've dealt with so-called punishment, you know, that's pretty much abuse. Because they don't understand, you know, or care, you know, about Tourette's or whatever. Or, you know, so because you think that someone is behaving badly when it's actually disorder or disability, and you punish them and you further traumatize that person, you know. So like they have someone on one of my other channels that I'm subscribed to. Her name is Miko, and like she would cry and be in distress a lot, you know. And like I even, you know, ended up having like a lot of sensory issues. And I heard that like a lot, like when I was in the mental hospital, they had someone, I don't remember her name, but I remember her face vividly. And I think her name could have been Emily, in the mental hospital in Fake Denton, Texas. And Emily, she said that she had Tourette's and, well, she said Asperger's, you know, at the time, you know. And she used to blink her eyes uncontrollably a lot too, you know. But, you know, when kids bully and pick on you when you have a disability or multiple disabilities, well, if you're disabled and kids pick on you or bully you, well, adults, well, they might pick on you or bully you. And, you know, there are moments where they want to narcissistically fake punish you, you know, for what you can't control. So, so after 9th grade and after the targeting began, well, more like in 11th grade was when they started to, the fake foster mom agent Felder said it, the first one who said, you know, trying to falsely accuse me of using my disability as an excuse for quote unquote bad behavior, when the symptoms of the disorders are the behavior, you know. But it was okay for her to have a raging temper at whatever, or explode. And she didn't even suffer Tourette's. But you know, for her to narcissistically lecture me about my behavior or whatever all the time. And she used to call me, bully and harass me and lecture me and call me crazy. And then at one point she used to say, well, Candy, you don't play crazy. No, she said, Candy, you're not crazy. You just play crazy, and you know exactly what you're doing. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm just being me, and you have a problem with me being me. Naturally, just me. You know? But like, you're just being yourself, and narcissistic abusers get mad at you and say, don't play with me. Ghetto narcissistic abuser. You know, or they'll say, I'm not for it today, no. They're saying, I'm not for it today. I'm not for it today, no. Yeah, something like that, But, ghetto narcissistic abusers will be like, yeah, because baby, I don't play. They'll say that I don't play. They'll say that they pride themselves on being the type that don't play. But like, when they have power-hungry narcissistic abusers that's seen by society as the type that don't play, the proper folks being like, oh, this is a no-nonsense disciplinarian or a no-nonsense cop that just went straight to the point. And they get applauded for their narcissistic abuse and being power-hungry or whatever, But, so like, when I was like, throughout the years in junior high, the psychiatrist, she was considered like a childhood psychiatrist and a medical physician or whatever, like a pediatric psychiatrist. And her name was Dr. Grandpre Blvd. And we've been in her psychiatric care since the earliest I could remember was like 4 years old. But I think we were like 5 or 6 when we started taking medicine. And the medicine was like liquid, sweet liquid medicine. Like when we were 5 or 6 years old. And then when we were 7, it was the tablets. Sometimes they were sweet, sometimes they were less sweet. And then certain just regular pills that you swallow. But then being 8 years old and 3rd grade, we were forced to have to take capsule medication. Capsule and regular tablets that weren't sweet. And it was a hard wrestle to get me to take the medicine to swallow the fake poison pills, And then, when you went to the dentist, with the dentist or whatever, they would force us to swallow 9 huge pink pills of amoxicillin, for antibiotics when you go to the dentist. Like, if you swallow, like, 9 pills, 9 huge capsules, and then before and after the dentist appointment, and then swallow some more pills. It's like all my childhood medical life was torture and trauma, from the dentist to whatever surgeries, regular primary care physician, eye doctor. It's like everything freaking hurts. And like, if we were in distress and crying because of getting shots at the doctor, we would be considered as badly behaved. Or if we're crying and wrestling the doctor because he wants to put eye drops in our eyes that burn, and then they make our eyes dilate, and your eyes dilate for I don't know how many hours, and then you had to get got new eyeglasses or whatever. I used to wear eyeglasses when I was younger, but I haven't really worn eyeglasses since like 2011, 12, something like that. My eyes have been fine without glasses. Well, I guess. But like I remember when I was a kid, I used to hate wearing eyeglasses. But then I grew to love wearing eyeglasses, but now I find out they say that eyeglasses make your vision worse and not better, and make you more dependent. And the pharmaceutical companies lie and say, excuse me, that it'll make your vision better, you know. But they see they're causing me hiccups. So back to the Tourette's thing. The psychiatrist, Dr. Chakraborty, used to talk about, like, she would discuss with the foster mom about me having tics. And the foster mom used to get mad at me for whatever tic I have. She would have turn and give me mean looks and have her face twisted up mad. You know, and she would be like, we would be in an SUV. It was a white Mitsubishi Montero, 1990. And she would illegally fake drive around with the windows raised up, all the windows raised up, and then her window cracked, and smoking the fake, crusty, dirty, satanic, evil cigarettes. And then she'd get mad at me for coughing and clearing my throat. And if you're at the fake cult Bible class and you cough, she would be abusive and do stuff like pull you by your ear or press you on your pressure point just for coughing. It's like they hated everything me and my twin sister and certain other foster kids that they didn't like. Excuse me. Everything we did or said we were considered bad kids. They just hated everything about us, hated our existence, hated our presence. You know, they call us bad kids for being sick. But they were doggone just abusive. I didn't, you know, when you're a kid, you don't know, you know. So, imagine getting punished for coughing and sneezing, you know, and that's like with the Tourette's, you know, if you have like an outburst. I read read in books, you know, that if you suffer Tourette's, that it's like the tics in the outburst. It's like a sneeze or a cough that must be expressed, and you can't hold it back. And it's involuntary, you know. And so the psychiatrist would talk to the foster mom about me having tics. And I didn't know what she was talking about. She was talking about the tics, this, the tics, that, the tics, and this and that about the tics. You know. And then I was somewhere, it could have been in sophomore or junior year in the high school. They had this abusive, narcissistic, fake, mean teacher named Miss Barris. Barras. And she was supposedly half Filipino, half white. And she was like a messy bully. You know, messy, like. But anyway, she was the one who asked me if I suffer Tourette's. And I didn't know what it was, because, you know, I'm like, no. Like, you know, and I thought that my eyes blinking uncontrollably and me having, like, because my eyes just blink like this, and then I would lick the side of my mouth like that. I used to be like, something like that, you know, years ago with the Tourette's. And when I was 12 years old in 7th grade, I used to stutter so much. And the fake foster family, they used to wrongfully punish me for uncontrollably stuttering, you know. And so later on, I found out that Dr. Chakraborty had me diagnosed with obsessive compulsive disorder, Tourette's syndrome, and generalized anxiety disorder, all of them severe. And she said something about, she told the foster mom that I was too young to be suffering. She said that I was too young to be suffering the so-called mental disorders that I was suffering, and that I was suffering mental disorders that basically adults would be diagnosed with. You know. So, yeah, she diagnosed me with obsessive compulsive disorder, Tourette syndrome, and generalized anxiety disorder. And then when I turned 18, other doctors were diagnosing me with obsessive compulsive disorder, Tourette syndrome, generalized anxiety disorder, and major depressive disorder. Well, they said that I was too young to be suffering generalized anxiety disorder, but the reason why, because of the foster care abuse, the cult abuse, and complex PTSD from the abuse and trauma, mind control, you know. So, but and I had 2 strokes when I was 5 years old also. So like, it was like I heard that it was actually the fake foster sister, the foster mom, Adrian Felder's sister, Dana. Dana is now deceased. She died in like August 2017. But Dana, I overheard that she was the first to, like, Dana hadn't even been around us that much. Like, she was like the biological Aunt Yvonne. Like, I could almost count on my hands how many times I saw Dana in my life, you know. And so Mickey, I used to see, when we had more experience dealing with Mickey, you know, Mickey was the one that, I can't call it taking care. You know, she was controlling and abusing, like, the biological brother Sean, while the fake foster mom Ann was controlling and abusing us. So, you know, but I've heard people say that Sean and Wyatt are supposedly, well, Wyatt's now deceased, that they, you know, consider autistic or on the autism spectrum. And they said the same thing about the biological great nephew, Lil Randy. They said, I was told that he, you know, supposedly has autism or whatever. I don't know. But I don't know for sure. But yeah, like growing up, I don't know about my twin sister. Well, we both had speech therapy. So they were saying that we were developmentally delayed and had delayed speech and everything, you know. And they said that one sure way to find out if you got autism is, if you, like, people would tell me, if you grow up like developmentally delayed and have delayed speech, and then you grow up talking articulate and very proper, like people want to say, oh, Candy, you talk very articulate, or you talk like a white girl, you know. So if they say I talk white, I guess I don't talk as white as I used to. I guess I just being me, you know. But they have people nowadays who quote unquote talk whiter than me, whiter than I talk now, you know. But so yeah, people would say I sound highly educated or I sound very educated, but they treat me like, I mean, I was talking yesterday, I think it was, I was talking about how people really treat me like I'm dumb, you know, or certain people say that certain people are, they feel threatened by your intelligence or whatever, you know. But, so like Dana supposedly was I thought it was foster mom Ann. It was her sister Dana was supposedly the first that tried to lie and say that I used my Tourette's or whatever as an excuse. And that was during my junior year in high school, like I guess towards the end of my junior year in high school or whatever. And after I had been targeted, you know. And that's when everybody started to try to falsely making like that I'm a bad person or I behave badly and I use this and that as an excuse. The fake foster mom, Adrian Felder, she smear campaigned and lied on me. She lied to the Social Security people, and she lied to the vocational rehabilitation counselor. She smear campaigned and lied and said I was schizophrenic in front of my face. Like when I was at the Voc Rehab office here in Harvey, like my senior year in high school, I think it was, and when the vocational rehabilitation counselor had asked, what my disabilities were, and the fake foster mom, she was like, oh, let's see, and she would make sure to use that one eye symbolism with covering one eye and be like, oh, let's see, schizophrenia, what else it is you got, Candy? And then she would say, anxiety, or this, that, whatever. Nothing about no damn Tourette's or, OCD. And then when the Voc Rehab counselor walked out of the office, I'm like, Mom, well, we used to refer to foster mom as Mom. I'm like, Mom, why did you lie to her and say that I'm schizophrenic? And she's like, she gave me this mean look like, start your shit, you hear? Start your shit, you hear, Candy? Start your shit, you hear? Like that, And then I started crying, uncontrollably. Oh yeah, if you cry uncontrollably, that's bad behavior to people that's abusive and narcissistic. Or if you laugh, that's very inappropriate and unacceptable behavior. Now that is inappropriate. That is unacceptable. Unacceptable. Now that is unacceptable. That is unacceptable. That's how certain narcissistic abusers, like how they talk or whatever, Or they'd be like, had their face twisted up mad like this. Very inappropriate. They'd be like yes and no at the same time. Like they're doing their hair like circles like this. Like, very inappropriate. Very, very, very inappropriate. Another way of saying bad dog. That's why when people narcissistically lecture me about my behavior, it make me feel like an animal. It's dehumanizing. And so when they, start to narcissistically lecture me about my behavior and lie and falsely accuse me of, weaponizing my disability to get over on other people or avoid accountability, when the fake foster mom would do stuff like play psych games and abuse and treat me mean and would trigger my Tourette's on purpose, and then you deal with the Tourette's or the reactive abuse or whatever, and so for her to manipulate and play all kinds of psychological games and stuff, her psych games didn't start until after I became targeted. Before then, she used to be just vicious and doggone mean. Very mean. Abusive, narcissistic, hard and mean. But the foster stepdad, he was the one who started with the narcissistic lectures and the psych games. And then she copied off of him with that. And telling us that we deserve to be dead, that we deserve to die, or we deserve for this bad to happen. He was the one, the foster stepdad, he was the one who used to tell us that we deserve to die, or we deserve to get raped. And then she started saying that, They always want to talk about how I deserve to get killed, or I deserve to get hurt, or I deserve this happen. Or certain other narcissistic abusers be like, well, I'm not saying you deserve to get hurt, but one day bad will happen to you, or whatever, you know. Oh, you keep doing this and this will happen to you. So, but for me to be like extremely hypersensitive and suffer Tourette's, and people think I should just ignore all the gang stalking attacks and harassment that's unprovoked, you know, and then you'd be days of sleep deprived and have less self-control, you know. But yeah, so like they would lie and say that I use my OCD as an excuse to justify bad behavior, or, you know, or that I would use my Tourette's as a crutch. Oh, you using that as an excuse. You use that as a crutch. What else would I be ticking for if I'm nervous about something? Because they said that anxiety and extreme emotion would bring out your Tourette's symptoms, you know. And so the foster mom, she knew I had Tourette's, but she would weaponize it to hurt me more. And I heard that narcissistic abusers don't like their victims to be sick. They want to weaponize and punish our sickness, you know, but then they want to be pampered when they get sick. Or people say that they fake sickness, but then we be really sick or disabled or whatever, and they falsely accuse us of over-exaggerating, faking and lying for attention, and they sadistically make us suffer. Say, for example, all right, if there's a woman that's pregnant and they have an abusive, narcissistic, fake medical staff that will falsely accuse her of faking and lying about going into labor, and then sadistically sit there and just fold their arms and tap their right foot or whatever and fold their arms while just sitting there watching her suffer. Or they point and laugh, ha ha ha, you know. Or they sadistically and maliciously just want to get your baby wrongfully taken away. I mean, and then it will leave any mother messed up in the head if you maliciously want to wrongfully punish the mom and have her baby wrongfully taken away from when she didn't deserve that, you know. And then it would make anybody go crazy. I heard that that's what happened to the biological mom, Frances. That she pretty much, they said that after we got taken away, that she really, 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 quote unquote, lost her doggone mind, you know? That it crushed her really bad. But then she rejected us when we tried to reunite after turning 18. And I know the foster mom had us brainwashed with a certain false bad opinion about the biological mom. And I guess it's too late for me to say I'm sorry, since my biological mom is not alive anymore. I mean, she's deceased, she's gone, you know. But I made attempts at trying to contact her after I found out the truth, and I wanted to give her a deep, heartfelt apology, and, you know, tell her that, Mom, I'm really, really sorry that I find out how to, you know, the foster care system operates or whatever. But I guess the biological mom, Frances, when she was alive, she probably would have said, you know, well, I tried to tell you, but you weren't listening. Well, biological mom, Frances, you lied about everything else. So, but I guess something like that, she would, I guess, was telling the truth, you know. But, so yeah, when I was in the mental hospital in like 2010, I don't think it was 2009. It could have been 2009 that I was in the mental hospital, 9 or 10. And I was in the mental hospital in fake Denton, Texas. And they had this abusive, narcissistic, fake guy that was on drugs or alcohol or something like that. And he was like demanded to be the center of attention, you know, and he was one of the popular fakes. He came after me and was popular and well liked and was always the big center of attention and acted like he delusionally believed he was fake class clown funny, right? And so, you know, something happened. I don't remember what event happened in the mental hospital where I had a Tourette's outburst or something like that. And then I realized and I immediately apologized. And he said something like, I don't remember what he started off saying, but I just remember he said stuff like, I'm here to detox, and I didn't come here to hear you curse. Now, I became a Christian overnight. But how many other people he's narcissistically abusing? They want to be self-righteous, talking about don't curse or don't yell, but you're triggering me. You be abusive and narcissistic and trigger me on purpose, and then want to wrongfully punish me when I do, like, uncontrollably curse or yell. With the, you know. So I heard that people don't even have Tourette's, and it's the reactive abuse, you know, when pushed over the edge from initial narcissistic abuse and antagonizing, provoking, poking, and prodding until they get you to snap, and they bother you and bother and harass you on purpose and think it's a thrill to get you to snap and go off so that they can laugh when you get wrongfully punished, or pretend like they're the hurt victim after you hurt them, you know. But it's like they push you over the edge, you know, and make you snap and go off, you know. Excuse me. So after that fake narcissistic lecture and tirade or whatever, he succeeded at turning the whole everybody in the mental institution area, like our group or whatever. He turned everybody against me. And then there was a white lady named Janet that I don't remember what situation that we had that she triggered my Tourette's or whatever. And the Emily girl with the Tourette's, she's like, oh, I'm not talking to you anymore. I'm like, what did I do? She's like, oh, because you cursed, Janet. Well, if you suffer Tourette's too. But I mean, I think that they were all got paid off and became perps and mobbing up against me and bullying me in the mental hospital. And they like to play self-righteous and make like you're always doing something wrong, you know. So, I mean, they had all turned into perps or whatever. And this guy, he would always narcissistically brag about P90X and stuff like that. He was so high on himself, you know. And then he tried to say that you do not have Tourette's. That is not Tourette's. That is not Tourette's. Let me tell you something. I have a son that has Tourette's. You know, that is not Tourette's. That is not Tourette's. Let me tell you something. I have a son that has Tourette's. And just like the idiot last night that, you know, tried to tell me, you don't have Tourette's. You don't have. And I had this altercation with her maybe about a month or two before, you know, and she's like, you don't have Tourette's. And she got in my face. Now, how she condemned me, and she got in my face and was screaming and yelling at me. And she doesn't have Tourette's. Like, as I said, the other younger girl with the glasses and straight hair, you know, she stayed over. She might walk to go to the other boat. I heard probably to use the bathroom. But she stuck up and mean. But a couple of times she tried to be a little fake nice or whatever. And it's like, wow, they're all perps. But the other security guard, she stays over by the other boat And she don't walk up to me and start bothering and harassing me like this lady. This lady come all the way from her boat over on the other side to come and start bullying and harassing me. And I don't even know if she's new, because I recently started seeing her face. Like, I don't remember if it was July or August. But she started off pretending to be fake nice and trying to offer me food and stuff. And I used to see by the new boat, like they had the new boat, it says City of New Orleans on it. And they used to have fake perp security guards that would illegally drive around with, it's either a blue car, well, I don't remember what kind of cars they were, but I'm pretty sure I have some videos, but blue car and strange tail lights, or a black car and one headlight. And through that little walkway where I sit at by the bench, they would come speeding and nearly run over my foot so many times, flying through there. That, you know. And then afterwards, I stopped seeing those cars, and and they were mean too, but they didn't come over and bother and harass me. But it was just only like I don't remember. I know it wasn't June, but it could have been either July, August, or September. I started seeing her, like start seeing her work or whatever. And then one day she out of randomly, you know, pretended to be fake nice and offer me food and give me food, and said that she made it from her house. But then later on, she lied and said she made it from her house. But then come to find out, it looked like food, leftover food from a restaurant. She said she got it from her house. No, that she cooked it. And then come to find out, she was getting food off the boat or whatever. And then one day she tried to pretend to be fake nice, and another time, you know, offering me food, and I had already eaten. And I'm like, oh, no, thank you, you know. She's trying to say, well, anytime you want some food or whatever, you know, they have food from the boat every night or whatever. But even the boat employees are rude, narcissistic gang stalkers. It's like, damn, almost everybody that's associated with the boats and the security guards and boat workers, all y'all some damn perps. Like, wow, who's not a gang stalker? I thought Jonathan was not a perp. And Jonathan, like, I don't know if he quit his job completely or just asked to be moved to a different area. After I exposed that Jonathan was a gang stalker, I showed proof it was his car. That he got that he had like one headlight on. I'm like, no, not you, Jonathan. No, I went to school with you. Really? And he didn't have the demeanor of the type of person who would have been a perp. And like last year, Jonathan used to have my back, you know. But then he started to act a little weird, you know. But yeah, like that's the same lady, the lady from last night. That's her second time telling me that, like last night was the second time we had the argument, and she tried to say, "Oh, you're not even supposed to be here, but we only letting you stay here because we just being nice or whatever." But you know, how come they don't say anything about other people sitting over there? Why is it only me? We're not supposed to let you be here, but we just being nice. And so she got in my face and told me I don't have Tourette's. And the stalkers try to like fake damnation and all them, the cult, you know, harassing me, talking about that. See, I just had like uncontrollable eye blink just now with the Tourette's tick. And so he would try to harass me and make fake profiles saying Candy Grandpre fake Tourette's, and he would spell Tourette's wrong. He would spell Tourette's incorrectly, and then using my twin sister's profile picture or other family members' profile pictures to harass, you know. And other stalkers from the fake Red Triangle, whatever doggone cult, they would illegally use my family members' profile pictures as a fake new profile picture on YouTube, and use my family members, you know, pictures. And I mean, I wonder how would the biological brother Pete or whoever in the family would get mad at the stalkers, you know. Hey, why are you using my pictures? Like, and how you get this picture? Like last night or the night before, they were using the biological dad author's obituary picture and making fake profiles and harass me with it. Or I've shown y'all how they do sick stuff, like use the biological brother Wyatt. They would take a picture of him laying in a casket and then put that as a YouTube profile picture and then harass me with it, you know. Or they would take the picture and alter it and make the picture look all red and then harass me with it. You know. So yeah, like one time the fake security guard got in my face and pretended to be fake nice and try to love bomb me with food and say, you know, the second time, and she pretended to be fake nice and try to give me food or whatever, and she insisted that I take it. Like I'm like, no thanks, I already ate. Now I wasn't hungry, I already ate, and so, you know, she said something about I was assigned to I was sent over here because I was assigned to handle you, and so I need to learn how to handle you. I need to know how to handle you. And she's her normal way of talking is like loudmouth, ghetto, ignorant, whatever. But me, it's like if I might get loud because of getting excited with my voice elevating from being excited by being kind of like frustrated, you know. But normally I guess talk normal, you know. But I'm not like loud, ghetto, and ignorant, you know. But you're screaming at me and getting in my face like you're about to put your hands on me. And it's like, at the time, I had my pepper spray in my hoodie pocket. And I was in such panic and fear when she got close to me and got in my face that it didn't even cross my mind to use it or whatever, you know. But y'all saw how close she tried to get in my face, and I tried to tell her step back and don't get close to me, you know. And then she tried to make like, oh, I'm calling the police on you for screaming. Well, she's like, oh, and you're gonna go to jail. It's like she was determined to make sure, hoping that I go to jail. But that's what the stalkers do. Like, if I'm at a hotel or library or cafe or something, and I'm trying to live stream, and they mess with the chat on purpose, and then they themselves from out of state prank call the library or whatever, and call the librarians and pretend that they are in the parking lot and making a complaint. Like, when they call over the phone, it's like they're the ones who's doing this, and then if the library managers or hotel workers or whatever, what happened Saturday was the first time any of the hotel workers tried to tell me, oh, someone was complaining that you were screaming and you should stop screaming. I said, well, I suffer Tourette's, it's involuntary. You know, and they're like, oh, I understand you suffer Tourette's, but you need to stop screaming. But she lied. First she lied and said that someone called her over the phone and claimed to be next door. And then she switched her story and lied and said the person was in front stood in front of her. But I didn't realize that Kathleen lady was freaking shady like that. You know, she's shady to the point it should be considered criminal. So what if I'm being tortured with the weapons? Like, if it ain't the organ squeezing, if it's another kind of torture that they're doing to me, and I'm screaming in agony because of the pain, and what, you're gonna kick me out and say I'm causing a disturbance? Like, you know, they have had moments where if they squeeze my organs or cause whatever pain, like Charlie horse or whatever, in whatever part of my body, and I'm screaming from the top of my lungs in agony, you know, because the pain is excruciating and unbearable. you know. But I don't know if the lady like has gay feelings towards me, or if she's acting the way she act. Is she jealous? You know, but I think she's straight up psycho. She's the type of person that would be like an obsessed kind of psycho that's like very power hungry and trying to control. Like, she's beyond narcissistic abuser. I think she's straight up psychopath. And a ghetto psychopath. You know, I think she's kind of new, because as I said, I recently started seeing her. But the younger girl, I was already like seeing her around since last year, you know. But I could be wrong, but I just recently started seeing this lady. And if you're a new security guard, but you think that you try to act like you think you're the veteran that been here for years. But they got rid of, Jonathan quit or left to go somewhere else, and they quickly replaced him with another person, you know. Yeah. But, it's 2 o'clock right now. But, yeah. But, like, they send people to do stuff to, not just me, but they send perps to do stuff to annoy and aggravate us targeted individuals. And everybody say ignore and don't react. But how can people, the stalkers, they're not just trying to aggravate me. It's like they've leveled up to where they're trying to plot and plan on how to murder me and take me out. And think that it's justified. Like, if the stalkers manipulate and harass and use my reaction or response to their harassment and being sick and tired of their harassment and abuse to justify why I'm a bad person who deserves punishment, or why I deserve to be murdered, or why I deserve to be removed from society, you know. And the stalkers talk about ridding me, trying to get rid of me from this earth. You know. But I'm really bothered in my spirit and mentally, mentally fucked up in the head and bothered by that lady telling me more than once, talking about how she been assigned to handle me and trying to tell me that she needs to learn how to handle me. Nobody ever was that damn bold to come up in my face and talk to me like that. You know. But who you gonna have to handle if I'm wrongfully locked up and thrown away in jail? Like, how long should my jail or prison sentence serve? How long should I be locked up in jail or prison if y'all want to talk about me screaming? But for the fake crusty perp, the fake colorful bike cult perps, nobody tell them that they're disturbing the peace for being so loud with the fake loud music, you know. Well, I'm not allowed to get mad at people for blasting loud music, and they're doing it to harass, and it's excruciating pain to my ears or whatever. But you know, the stalkers, when they mess with the chat on purpose and to sabotage and stop me from getting help. And if it's raining or if it's cold or I feel like my life is in danger and I'm freaking out and panicking like, help! You know, and then the stalkers admit that they get off on seeing me scream, that they get pleasure in hurting me. But, I mean, as I said, like, whenever there's a crisis or they're dealing with the cops, it's like people in my live stream chat, they try to make like they're supportive or whatever. But then once there's a crisis or police are involved, it seems like they start leaving bossy comments in the chat or defending and agreeing with the cops or the oppressors or the perps or whatever. And then I'm in the wrong when I get mad and block you for defending and agreeing with the cops and stuff or the perps. Or the fake security guards or whoever, you know. But, Yeah. But I keep my earbuds in because I have a hypersensitive ear condition. You know. And it gets worse. My ears become more hypersensitive the older I get. And that's what people say, that people thought I was a bad person growing up. But I didn't realize people mistook me for being bad because of having sensory issues growing up. You know. And people consider me high functioning autism. Or on the spectrum, you know. Yeah. So I'm about to get off here. So I was able to get help with funds for dinner, so I don't have to worry about dinner. But tonight, if I had to be on the streets, it would be night number 5 on the streets. And yeah, last night around dinner time in the evening, I noticed that I really was smelling bad. And sorry for TMI, but my booty hole, freaking itching because I can't get a doggone shower. And today was the first day I had a bowel movement, and it was a normal bowel movement. It's the 19th, and the last time I had a bowel movement was the random forced diarrhea on the 15th. And as I said, I didn't eat anything out of the ordinary, from my normal diet. So, and it had a certain medicated smell. And it was random, And then yesterday morning, they forced urinated me 5 times, but the forced urination, it seemed like they attempted today, but I'm glad that I was able to succeed at, making it to the toilet in time. But the fake Angie Peterson, Ling Ling perp, and certain other perps, they falsely accused me of going far. They falsely accused me of, Candy is going that far that she's so desperate that she pissing and shitting on herself on purpose for attention and on purpose for sympathy and to manipulate and swindle people to give her hotel nights, when that's not the case. The stalking cult criminals, online or in person, or whoever, or through satellite, drones, microchip, whoever. And God knows, and I know, and y'all know what or who the hell is torturing me with the doggone weapons and manipulating for me to have like the random forced diarrhea and forced urination. Certain other professed targeted individuals, I've seen them have like nosebleeds to the point it's scary, and I'd be afraid for them and afraid that they're gonna die bleeding so much from their nose. And certain people say that it's electronic harassment or the implants or whatever. And other professed targets have said, oh, see, they hit me in the head right now, I got a headache. Other professed targets, have had like something like forced vomiting. And there was a time or two when they tried it was like maybe twice they have tried, it wasn't severe, but twice they've tried that nosebleed thing on me. Even with just a little bit of blood, I start to get really scared. But they have done stuff like cause me bloody, forced diarrhea and would be blood in my stools. And I would go to the emergency room, and because people say that, if you got blood in your stools, you got to go to the emergency room because you never know what's going on. Or if you got pain in your chest, you better go to the emergency room like now. And, I go to the emergency room, and it's wasted medical bills, and they try to lie and say there's nothing going on, And, yeah. But it's like, I would be the happiest woman in the world if all I could get is freaking, another opportunity to get a shower and clean clothes, like to get my laundry done. And get my laundry done, shower, and sleep in the hotel and rest. And I thought that I was gonna have a way to have a solution off the streets for the winter, but if I knew of a solution, I would pursue it. But in my predicament, they had me so trapped. They had me so trapped with hindrances that I don't know what to do or what I can do to have a way to get off the streets and live, just simply to live in peace. That's all. Live in peace and solitude. I don't have to have a fancy house. I'll be content with a 1-bedroom tiny house. Well, even if it's a no-bedroom tiny house, with just a little living room. It's just me anyway. I don't have to have a big, fancy, nice house. Just, even if it's, a 1-bedroom cottage or efficiency cottage or something. But if I can have where I don't have to worry about neighbors trying to bully me or mob me out, but I don't have the finances or the funds. I mean, I don't know who would love me enough to help me with the funds to get a van or RV to live in. But then I heard the stalkers will try to destroy that too. What they do that to us targets. They won't let us live in peace, and they won't leave us alone. And then when we document, they lie and say that we're the ones doing the stalking and harassment and bothering people. And it's not. It's the other way around. So I need any and all the help I could get. And I looked at the hotel prices at some of the hotels that I never been to, and I'm like, well, wow, some of these, it's Wednesday, so I'm like, wow, it seems like some good deals, But I've been too sleep deprived and struggling to survive, and as I said, disappointed that I can't work on my writing and be able to be as focused. See, as soon as I turn the corner, she get out. For me to be as focused and be able to have enough physical or, mental energy and endurance to be able to work on my writings and stuff. I have not been able to work on my writings, but as these several days go by, I wonder how much, if I could have got more writing on the novel, how much more I could have accomplished. Here's a fake perp trafficker illegally fake pulling out, as soon as I come here. But I'm hungry, and I'll just wait till dinner to eat. But as I said, someone help me with dinner, so I don't have to worry about that. But I don't even ask y'all for help for money for lunch or whatever. So how do stalkers lie and say that I have 3 meals and 3 snacks per day, and that's not true? I've been trying whatever I could to make things easier, and the stalkers, they have ruined everything. But I love y'all. I'm getting off here for a bit.